Yeah, so
Yeah, he's usually here like in the background, isn't he? Like he's like someplace else with us. Yeah. I don't know if he works second shift or like over into the second because he hasn't been on in a while. He's been muted and without his camera.
there he is.
Oh, there he goes.
So we're live on YouTube.
All right, awesome. We are one person away from a quorum if my math is good, and you know it. There's a 50-50 chance. Evening, gentlemen.
Hey, everybody.
What's up, John?
How are you?
Good. Just saying, I haven't seen you in forever. Usually you're just a little black square on my Hollywood square configuration here.
Rob, are you calling me out?
I'm just saying that usually
He's calling you out, John.
I just got called out. Now
I
called out and recorded too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I usually paint Elmo on Murphy's.
He does. He actually does do that.
Yeah.
Well, based on my math, I think we've got 6 folks here. So let's call the meeting to order and get started. I know I printed out an agenda somewhere. So welcome, everybody. Glad you're with us. If folks join late, even better. We'll just keep them going as well. Just if you're joining us and you haven't heard, Beth is with us, but she's on mute and she's on the phone. We have a couple of folks that we know are not going to be here tonight because they have previous engagements. So just a quick update. I did ask you to do a survey a few weeks ago. Board members did. We got a pretty good response from them. Everybody was welcome to participate since everybody is affected by any decision we make. We had about 10 folks that did respond, and the majority of folks, vast majority, wanted to be or preferred to be in a hybrid setup, which is only possibly an option. There were just a few people, 2 people that thought we should be in person every day or every meeting. And given the choice of meeting in person or hybrid, we were about 50-50, both for telephone and for video. About half the people said that they would attend if we were in person, and about half the people said that they would not attend. They would choose to do it by video or telephone. So that's kind of the quick rundown. I didn't send out an email on that because I figured I would just tell you guys in person. We are going to stay in the same format we're in now through the end of the year, because that's the kind of the plans we've made so far. So through December 31st, that's one more meeting that we'll do this way. I think it's highly likely that we're going to be back in person the beginning of 2022. The advice we're getting from the town right now, and Scott, please correct me if I blow this, but the advice we're getting right now is that if we do go back in person, we will have to offer the option for folks to call in. And we would almost definitely be in Memorial Town Hall because we'd have enough space in Memorial Town Hall. We don't have terrific internet access in Memorial Town Hall, so we would handle the option for folks that didn't come in person to be calling in. And while we were there, if you're vaccinated, the town issued a new advisement today. Vaccinated folks do not have to wear masks, but I hope I said that right. Vaccinated folks do not need to wear masks. Unvaccinated do, and all of us need to maintain social distancing guidelines. So we will revisit that in an upcoming couple of days, but I do want to, or a couple of weeks, I should say, but I do want to give you a heads up that there's a very strong chance that we're going to at least have an option to be back in person the start of 2022, even if we're a month in. And our hope, as Scott shared with me, his hope and wish is that when we do our board, help me out on this one.
So
what do we call
have our board, our MYFS staff and board enrichment night.
Enrichment, that's what it's called.
And it's we have it scheduled for March, and that's the 6 o'clock dinner meeting. And we are really hoping that that's going to be an in-person event, and something that I think for the folks that have been around for a little while, we tend to get a lot out. I do want to clarify one quick point. So we did, I did speak with Lauren Rhines, the admin assistant in the first selectman's office. So if we needed this idea about hybrid, when most people hear hybrid, they're thinking about an in-person and virtual option. And right now, there's 2 rooms that are set up to offer this in a really fairly efficient way. That's what they call the Fishbowl Room A at Town Campus, and the Hammonasset Room, which is primarily used by the Board of Ed and the school district. There is no other setup anywhere in any other town facility right now, technology-wise, that would really allow for a decent sort of hybrid experience. So in other words, that you'd have people in a room with some screen that everybody could see, where other people could then access that same meeting remotely. Our best, like if we were going to do that, really, it would likely be what teachers have been doing. I was talking to Dave about this. So it's like a laptop, and a table sort of facing everybody, where people in the room would be interacting with the faces on the small laptop somewhere on the table. So if you had 10 people in a room and 2 people online, it would be a really, I think, wonky experience. So, my recommendation to the board would be that, we don't have to decide this tonight. So we're Zooming, we're all Zoom on in December. At the December meeting, we'll need to line up what we're doing at least for 2 months, like January and February. Either we think we do the meeting Zoom, so then there's, everybody can get on the same way, or it's all in person. And then if somebody did need to connect with us remotely, it would not be virtually, it would be by phone. So if we had, and if people wanted to come remotely, they'd have to give us a minimum of 24-hour notice before the meeting in order for us to comply. This is based on the state guidance and the FOIA rules right now. So that's how that would work. Don't need to decide tonight. At the December meeting, we'll put this back on the agenda. And look, we have the option to do Zoom right now because we're still under the governor's orders. We have this option all the way through April. In April, the governor's powers may go away, in which case this option disappears, and meetings would have to be in person again. There's also a chance that some of these rules will be modified for boards and commissions based on, the advent of Zoom since the pandemic. So Scott, am I saying that just because I know that you're probably intimately involved in a lot of these things as well on the Board of Selectmen? Is that?
Yeah, I think you said it fantastic. And, again, I think it's always about caution and health of our boards and commissions and making sure everybody's staying safe and doing what people are comfortable with. I think that's really what matters. So
Thank you.
I think we need to go forward with that.
There is a general recognition that our meetings are more fluid and more dynamic when we don't have to wait for somebody to come off mute and when we can actually have conversations. So the sooner we feel comfortable and safe getting back together, or as soon as we feel comfortable and safe getting back together in person, that is the intent, is that we're going to do that this is not a long-term solution to be doing these meetings by video chat or by telephone.
And there's something said for the snacks and the candy and the in the middle of the room too, just saying.
That Scott Murphy always brings. So
Yeah, right.
let's not forget that.
Was that an invite, Scott?
Yeah, let's do it.
Because I could go for a candy bar, bro.
Yeah,
I'll bake.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
That sounds awesome.
You really are serving the town, Scott. I appreciate that.
So that concludes my welcoming comments. At this point, I'm going to ask if we have any citizens' comments. Molly?
No citizen comments.
Okay, then I'm going to bring up the next agenda item, which is the approval of the minutes from the October 12th meeting. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, that was Rob, and Andrea seconded that. Any discussion? I'm not sure how we're going to do this with Beth, so maybe we'll count her as an abstention unless we need her vote. Unless I see her come off of mute. So this is a work in progress. We'll try and figure this out in case we have to do this in the future. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? One, perhaps. So the motion carries either way.
Hi,
And-
I'm a yes.
Thank you. Please
go,
keep
nice.
those hands on the wheel.
I have a co-pilot. It just
Yay.
takes us a second.
Okay, thank you very much, Beth. At this point, we'll move on to the treasurer's report and Andrea. Oh, no, I totally jumped the gun on that one. Correspondence, Molly.
Yes, we do have correspondence.
See, I blew it there.
I know, I was about to interrupt. But yes, we do have correspondence from the one and only Jeremy York. Dear Madison Youth and Family Services and board members, thank you so much for the beautiful outfits for our baby girl and the restaurant gift card. We appreciate your generosity. Jeremy and family.
Congratulations, Jeremy.
Yes.
Thank you guys very much for that. That was very nice. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
How's the baby, Jeremy?
She's doing great. Wish she'd sleep a little bit longer, but
The third shift baby.
holy cow, every 3 hours she wants a bottle.
Yeah, they'll do
Keep on
that.
wishing.
Yep. But she's doing great. My wife's doing great. So that's all if that's all we have to deal with is sleep, we'll deal with it.
Awesome.
Got it.
I have a feeling the liaison report's going to be nothing but photos of a baby.
Yeah, exactly, right?
All right.
I'm trying to keep her quiet and not scream the whole meeting. So
So far, so good. That's what
So
the news
far,
is for.
but thanks
Uh,
again though. We truly appreciate it. Thank you all.
You're very welcome on behalf of all of us. Andrea, I know you've been itching to do the report, so it's finally your turn. Treasurer's report.
Hi, everybody. A contribution was made from the Sunshine Fund towards the gift celebrating the new arrival in Jeremy's family. And board members may drop off their voluntary donation to the Sunshine Fund at the Madison Youth and Family Service Office. There is a $1,000 donation of Stop and Shop gift cards from Neighbor to Neighbor.
Wow,
Which is wonderful generous.
amazing.
And I forgot, Scott, is that well, I think we have to first do the motion, then we can have discussion. So can I have a motion to approve the donation? Okay, I saw Sarah and a second. Is
Kathleen.
John. Oh, Kathleen or John, you guys can fight it out. Kathleen actually put up her fist, so I think Kathleen gets it. Discussion. And I'll start the discussion by asking Scott, is that earmarked?
Yeah, this is for social services, for families in need, and for emergency, primarily groceries, emergency food assistance. And we do, I probably at some point can just give you all an update, a figure of the amount of donations we've gotten from neighbor to neighbor for lots of different things. It's probably a pretty staggering number. But they have regularly kept tabs with us as we've run out of gift cards over time. We'll let them know, and then they'll show up. They'll talk among the foundation, and they'll show up with another load of gift cards. And we just couldn't do what we're doing without them. And the generosity of this community is just overwhelming. So thank you, neighbor to neighbor.
Yeah, on behalf of us all, if you just let them know how much we appreciate that.
Will do.
So any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstains? So the motion carries, and we thank neighbor to neighbor for their generosity. We have a new agenda item this week that is not a regular, but it's just to discuss a couple of things about business of the board. So we right now have 2 vacancies on the board. One who is earmarked as a Republican, one that's earmarked as a Democrat. That doesn't mean they have to be filled by those, but it means that the nominating committees do get to recommend somebody for those positions. And then the other one is we have 2 vacancies on the executive committee right now. And so what we'd like to do, we've had 2 people who have volunteered to take over for the 2 vacancies that we have. Beth Scudder would be joining the executive committee as the vice chair, and Rob Zeller would be joining as the secretary. So we are going to need a motion to, I'm not sure how we do this. I would say a motion to approve the nominations, and then we'll vote. Do I have a motion? So John, and a second is Andrea. And any discussion? I mean, they ran a tough campaign.
I was going to draw something, Rob, but
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out how to do it.
I'm just wondering where the secretary came from. I don't recall that.
The position?
I'm just kidding.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, you're scaring me there.
Are those all of Rob's yard signs that I've seen all over town?
You gotta blame Scott. Scott puts those in my yard.
Every time.
I picked up a lot of them too. So
Good.
I don't know why.
Bring them to
they're
my
still out
house
there.
if you want to.
All right, so hearing no legitimate discussion at this point, and reminding everybody that we are being broadcast live across YouTube. Let's vote. All in favor? All opposed? Any abstentions? So the motion carries, and welcome and congratulations and thank you. Actually, thank you.
Great job.
The second item is to approve our board meeting calendar for 2022. As you know, we tend to meet on the second Tuesday of each month, but that, as we found out, is not always what we do, is it, Scott?
Nope.
So Scott is going to take it from here.
So this is the lineup, and we included the meetings for the remainder of this school year. And I think a lot of us just sort of think, lining up the meetings for the school year because we typically take the summer off. So as you'll see, this is the lineup. I think we've shared this already. So I think most of you know. And to point out the June 7th meeting this year, this is the first week of June. The second week of June actually falls what would be the last week of school. So we didn't think that was a good idea to meet there. Also note the March 8th, the time is 6 p.m. That's our board and staff enrichment. And looking into next year, because we all love to look a year ahead, November 15th is actually the second Tuesday next year of November is the 8th, happens to be election day. And since we have a lot of our members that are actively involved in the political process, half of our executive or what would be our executive committee was standing outside of the election at Polson last Tuesday. So we didn't feel it was appropriate to have a board meeting on the night of an election. And a lot of you get to attend fun parties, I hear, so we wouldn't want to get in the way of that either. So this would be the slate of meetings going through January of 2023. Wow, that's scary.
And Scott, the official schedule is, were we the first Tuesday after the first Monday, or was it something like that?
For their election day?
Yeah. Is that?
So, yeah. So as long as it's the first Tuesday after the second. Crap.
It doesn't matter.
First two, yeah.
Yeah.
There's some rule. Beth can actually explain it better than I, but yes, there is something funky. It's not always the first Tuesday in the month.
And roughly speaking, we do tend to be the second Tuesday.
That's what it is. It's the first Tuesday of November after the first Monday.
There you go. Okay. That's what I was hoping. All right. So we need to approve this meeting calendar since it is our calendar. So once again, I'll need a motion to approve the meeting as presented by Scott.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Kathleen. And a second. And Rob seconds it. Any discussion? We're not talkative tonight. All right, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Aye,
or raise your hand. And all opposed? And any abstentions? And we are the most unanimous board in existence. The motion carries. No more editorializing. Scott, staff presentation, it says none. You want to explain?
Yeah, so we, as we laid out the staff presentations for the year, we had lined up one for social services for this month. However, Crystal couldn't make it tonight. And we did have an opening toward the end of the year, so I just moved over the staff presentation. So I think we are going to have a pretty robust student report, as well as I've got a few things to go over in the director's report.
Well, Darian and Reby, he set you up pretty well there. We're expecting nothing short of robustness here. So we're up to the student report.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. Hope you're doing well.
Hey, guys.
We want to start off with the survey that we took a couple weeks ago. So we had the video go up on the screen. All the teachers played the video. It was a 3-4 minute video just saying, hey, guys, take this seriously. Sadly, in my class, I had a sub. I only say sadly because, that makes a student feel more like, I can do this, I can do that. It doesn't really matter as much, not as much consequence. So there were a couple of students in my class who, were kind of just talking, but still a majority of the people were taking it seriously, at least it looked like to me, and, getting the surveys done.
Yeah, to add on to Dara, basically, I had a little bit of a different experience in my class because a sub definitely changes it up, but we had the regular teacher in our class. So surprisingly, everyone was like pretty serious about it, or at least they were doing a good job pretending to be. But they were like looking at the video, like super attentive. But I think it also, what we were telling Scott too, is that a huge part about it was definitely just student involvement. Like, of course they wanted to hear what Scott said and everything, but then when it got to Darian and I, it was like all eyes or whatever. Oh, sorry, excuse me. Because I number one, just because I think they recognize us too. So I think that would actually really worked in our favor because like I said in student meeting too, like any attention is good attention. So I think, a lot of people were paying attention, which is really good. But
Just a quick comment for those of you that don't know, there was a video that they made to get the students to feel comfortable with the anonymity of the survey. And it starred 2 of the staff from Madison Youth and Family Services, and also Darian and Reby. They were great. So all 4 of them, Scott and Catherine, were in it also, and they were great.
Yeah, I'll share some comments of my own during the director's report. And if people, I do have the video queued up if people are interested in seeing it. I, by the way, am horrible. Our students are wonderful.
Not true.
Besides the video, was there any other preparation to the students for the survey?
Not other than the video.
Yeah, the video was the main thing. I mean, of course, we had like kind of been like, oh, the survey is coming up and everything, but it like, no, the video was definitely the main intro there. But also, Derek, moving from the survey, if that's cool, we also wanted to talk about the Roots program. And so basically, are you guys familiar with the Roots program? No? Okay. So, totally okay. I wasn't either. But basically, well, what am I gonna say? So Justin, the new, like, that's taken Derek's place. Sorry, I don't know his formal name, Scott, his position, but he, Derek can elaborate on this too, but he has done such a good job at like really getting things going for the peer advocates group and all that kind of stuff. So he proposed, Derek was doing kind of in short, this little group called Roots, where it was kind of project oriented. There was a lot of like getting community games and community support, mainly within the group though. And about 2 weeks ago, Justin was talking to Darian and I, and we had a little meeting, and he was like, I want to bring back Roots because it kind of died off during COVID. And basically the premise of the club is to unite a lot of the Madison Youth and Family Services clubs that are going on at hand and have a few representatives from each of those clubs to kind of form this core group called Roots, where we can get community projects done. So like he's made it very clear that the club Roots would be very project oriented. We're completing goal A and then we move on to goal B. It's not a ton of like intermediate talking or anything. It's mainly just like we decide something that we're passionate about and we go through with it in the community. So Dara, I don't know what you thought about that, but I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, so I thought it was an awesome idea. Generally, just getting projects in and out of the school done. It's not anything that it's really any project that whatever student in the group wants to do. So it is mainly going to be people who are affiliated with Madison Youth and Family Services, whether that's through a club or a position like this. And then if we get to a point where there aren't enough positions, we do want to keep it generally smaller so that there's a lot more focus on this one group.
Mhm.
But if it gets to the point where we don't have enough people, it would then turn to an application process. But there's still a lot to be ironed out. This would all be starting in the winter. But after that meeting, I was really looking forward to it and amped up to get Roots started.
Right. I feel like it could be really good. I mean, if you guys think so, like just to kind of get a student group that's not only oriented to like interclub activities, but really expanding out to the community. We thought that was cool. The next thing we wanted to talk about was the Valor, which of course I'll let Darian take the reins. He's the captain on that.
So with Valor, we had to push back our carnival that we want to have, our recruitment carnival, to 2 weeks, which ended up going to be next Monday. We did that because we weren't getting the amount of people we really wanted to. And along with that, a lot of our members couldn't go because of interference with Vibe. There was the show choir for the school. And we really wanted to make sure that everyone who wanted to be there could be there. And we want to also make sure that we can get as many people and maximize this opportunity, really make the most of it. On to the next, the peer advocate room. I'll hand that back off to Rabe.
Yeah. So again, with Justin, he's just been a powerhouse lately, but basically along with the Roots meeting, we've also done the peer advocates room, which was previously there. For those who don't know, the peer advocates room is basically I'm sure you guys know it, but it's a room in the library at hand that you can basically go into if you want any support from a peer advocate. And whatever periods we have off, peer advocates, at least one or two, will be in there kind of manning the room. Just it's super casual. You can go in there and do your work, or you can go in there and get advice, but it's mainly just for that one-on-one or kind of that group talk situation, just a comfort zone. But it looked like a prison cell. And so no one was going into it because it was like, and like, I didn't even want to walk into it. I was actually forcing myself to enter that room. Sorry. But, so we were like, okay, something needs to be done here. So Lillian Flaherty, who's also a peer advocate, and Justin and I really, and Dare also provided his support, but we basically, revamped the room, redecorated it with like lights and this cute Himalayan lamp. I mean, it's just so it's cozy, you know what I'm saying? And we brought in a lot of new furniture and chairs, and all from Justin, who's been great. I think his house probably is emptied from all the furniture he brought in. But it's made the biggest difference, as Darren, I'm sure, can tell you too. Like, we had this grand reopening of the peer advocates room because a lot of people didn't know what it was, and the attendance was insane. Like, we hung out, like we hung up this wheel or whatever so you could get all these prizes. I won't go into all the details, but people were like super into coming in and getting the prizes, and Melissa and Derek were there. It was just so good. So a lot of my friends too in lunch now, like, just go in the peer advocates room like all the time. We just hang out in there. So that's really made a big impact on the student body, which we thought was really good.
You get people from all grades in there?
Sorry?
You get people from all grades in there?
I don't know about like the freshman or the senior, but I know that the juniors, that's like the spot definitely for them. But yes, they're of course open to all grades. So I assume other people go in there too.
I think most seniors tend to stay on the bridge and, keep that as their little hangout spot.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so Jared, do you want to start with the sexual assault project too?
Yes. So back onto that sexual assault project that I've been working on throughout the year. We were able to meet again with Salutary, Coach Becker, and Katie. we have their full support to get this going. They loved how the pilot went, and they loved the feedback and what we saw went wrong and what we could fix. So our rough sketch is to have all the winter sports captains or sports captains. We're hoping we can get this ready for winter sports. And coaches meet and learn about the detrimental effects of sexual harassment and assault and how they can help and be a part of the necessary change. Captains would then go to their team and talk about what they learned and the importance of it all. So the rough edges that I'm really looking at right now are the curriculum, as in what we would use for the class with the coaches and the captains, what specifically we want in that, who's going to teach it, stuff like that. Next up is speakers. We really want to have speakers because we've had speakers. We've had the opportunity to have speakers in our health class when they can talk about drug addiction and stuff like that. And that was something that, sticks with a lot of students throughout their years, more so than really any other lesson that went on. But so we want to try and get speakers, incorporate them somehow, not sure yet. And then we want to make it interactive, because one of the things that I got from some of the football players was that it was an important message and it was sent out great and they understood it, but it was one of those things that kind of fizzled away in their mind. So we think if we make it some sort of interactive activity or try and make it something that is lasting and make an impact. So this is all stuff that I'm hoping to iron out with Katie in our next meeting, and I'll get back to you guys with that.
Sweet. So I think we had one more thing planned, which was to talk about, hold on, I lost the schedule thing. Hold on.
It's the general vibe of the school.
Oh,
so,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
thanks, Sarah.
Of course.
I've
been I'm loving it. I'm back to normal. I'm finally hitting my stride. I can only speak for myself, but I love being able to, see my friends, see the teachers. Like I can talk to Mr. Buller in the hallway now. That's something that I didn't even get to meet him in person up until this year, which is kind of crazy to me. I never had him in a class or anything. But yeah, that's really awesome. And I'm really amped up to be back in school. Along with that, most of our sports are in state. So being able to go out and physically support them, waving a rally towel or something, getting some chants going, it's really all a lot of fun.
Yeah, Dare's having a ball. Not on the other hand, like I'm having a good time too, but the homework situation's out of control. I mean, I'm not going to complain about that for too long because it always is. But what's been really good, which I told Scott too, is like the homework's like drowning. But the good thing is that the teachers are super receptive. Like I think, and I feel like I'm repeating myself. Like I've said this so many times, ever since COVID, they're so like a lot more empathetic, a lot more involved. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it actually feels like they care, which is, of course, they always have cared, but like they're willing to extend help to you, like out of their hours and even if you ask a question like 10 million times, they'll keep answering. I mean, it's just amazing. And I'm like absolutely hounding my history teacher in particular about like these concepts that I don't understand. And he's just been so receptive. So I think the school is feeling very comforted. Of course, the mask thing we're all used to, but I think there's a general sense of comfort that the teachers are super, no matter how much we complain about the homework and social situations can always be tricky too in high school, but it's really nice that the adults in the building are actually like really supportive of the students, which is good. So yeah.
Questions for them? I mean, that was my question, was what was going to be, what's the vibe in the school from your point of view? Do you guys feel representative of the group, or do you find your friends are feeling pretty much the same way?
I think everybody's really excited to be back in school, back to, seeing other people. I mean, I remember sitting in my room and like FaceTiming my friend in my free period, but, now being able to go and actually see them during my free period, or like, it's just a big change. It seems like something small, but it really means the world. It changed a lot.
I hear you. I mean, from our point of view, it feels like school again, and it has for a couple months now, which is awesome. So you guys are back to acting, when we have to reprimand you, we feel good because it means you guys are back to being normal kids. So it's a good thing. And I know kids, we're not supposed to say kids, students, but you're still kids sometimes. Any questions for our youth? Thank you guys both very much. That was a wonderful report and really appreciate it. Scott.
Get back to your homework.
And yeah, get back to your homework. Yeah.
Boy, that's a tough act
Will
to
do.
follow.
But do it off screen so we don't know you're doing it.
Oh,
Right.
of course. Are you kidding?
Thank
Definitely.
you. All right, Scott, director's report, please.
My appreciation to our student reps that are just really phenomenal, and very organized and on point for what they're doing from week to week and communicating with me and our staff and being involved. I want to follow up on a couple of things. One, on the survey. So this is the Search Institute survey. This is the one we do every year. This is a big deal to us, and a really heavy lift going from the summer where we put the pieces together and line up all the dominoes for the school. There's a schedule of notifications to the parents, and then really just honing in on the addendum questions. There's two surveys. There's the Search Institute survey, and then what we call the addendum, which is really our survey that we put together based on sometimes some of the same questions we had 2 years ago, sometimes other questions that we feel are more relevant. And so that was done. The video, as was mentioned, we had a lot of feedback. Especially the last survey and surveys before. There's always the question about how students feel taking the survey. It got more intense in terms of the questions once we could no longer do a paper survey. Students had issues with the paper survey, and trusting it and going through it. When we had just the online option, then of course, and very appropriate questions, as we all worry sometimes what we're doing online in terms of its privacy and safety and what happens to that. So we really did take a shot this year to hone in on some messaging that we tried very hard to message directly to the student body. We had bi-weekly meetings with TJ Salutary in the lead up to the survey that included what can we do to make this feel safer, be safer, and he was very helpful in that regard. So the survey occurred as our student reps talked about, and later on in my report, if you'd like to see that video, I'd be happy to play it for you. It was the best thing that we could do to try to message directly to the students at the time that they took the survey, and we still, I've interacted with a couple of students since then. One in particular told me he didn't want to take the survey. He wouldn't have taken the survey and he generally likes me, but even if, it didn't matter, he wasn't taking the survey. And we know that there's about 100 students that do just decline to take it for whatever reason. But we did get a really good response to the survey, we would say, and a very even response. So most of the students that took the Search Institute also took the addendum. We've noticed differences of that in the past. We asked specifically questions around sexual harassment, sexual assault. I can't give you any real data. We do have the results back. So we're processing that. We need to go through a process too, where we talk to the admin council at the school, get them involved with what the survey results say. They're really not that shocking, very much on par with what we would have expected in some areas. And lots of things that are, I think, very important for us as a community to hear and see and figure out. And we'll be doing that. The board will have a presentation on the survey in December. So you're just a month away from seeing the results. Catherine will be on that one. And just really happy with what we did. We did the best we could to get everybody comfortable with it this time around. Need to update you on a staff change that we have had here at Youth Services. So Frankie Esposito, who was our parent support counselor, resigned within the past month. It wasn't as surprising. She had shared with us, some thinking and feelings that she had carrying that position. That's the part-time position that we've had such a hard time keeping a body in over the last few years. And she had been an intern with us, had taken the position, and I think was just kind of developing still being young in her career towards different interests. So she's actually staying on with us as a contractual clinician, but she's resigned the position of parent support counseling. And so we certainly were very grateful to Frankie for doing that, and for being as honest and upfront and working with us and staying on as staff. I mean, I think it tells you it was about the position and the fit, not about, the agency or Frankie. And glad that she's still going to be working with us. So that leaves another vacancy at a time where, there's just so much need and a lot of change in the players around the parent support counseling position. That's the one that coordinates with the elementary school social workers and takes referrals for kids really that then result in support to the families, specifically the parents. That's the whole model of parent support counseling. As it would turn out, Marge Adler, probably our quintessential parent support counselor who had done the role for about 20 years before she retired, walked in our door around the time that Frankie was telling us she was going to resign and said, "Hey, I'm really not getting involved in things as I would like to. Do you guys have anything I could do?" And we said, "Yeah, as a matter of fact, we might have something that you could do, Marge." So that got into conversations and more specifics. So working with our HR department and working with Marge, we developed what is essentially a temporary position that will continue for the rest of this fiscal year. We're still ironing out the final details, but we're really close to the end of it for a rate of pay and the number of hours. It won't be the number of hours for her to do the work because she's living farther away from town. She really has a lot of less hours to apply. But the upside for us, we have one of our interns who is very interested in parent support counseling. So Marge is really taking on the role to do cases, to do parent support counseling cases, and then mentor, supervise one of our interns. And we really like this model. We feel it's probably our best fit for the remainder of the fiscal year. And God, you got to be excited to have Marge around. For those of you if you know Marge, if you met Marge, she's a one of a kind, special person. So, and she's such a character, and she cares so deeply. So really lucky to have her back. And we wanted to let you all know that that's what we're doing with that. That leads me into my next piece that I want to share with you all. As we're approaching this period of time in the town, this is what we call budget season. We have yet to get any, guidance. Usually that comes probably later in November, sometimes early December. It depends on certain factors. But all the department heads in the town will get some directions around budget, and we'll start planning on what we want to present to the various boards. So coming off of just explaining that I think that was our third parent support counselor in the last 3 years that we've had to change over. We've brought it to the budget process before to make that position full time. I do plan on taking that back. If I have the opportunity for additional requests, that's one that I will be making to the Board of Selectmen or to the town as a part of my budget. Since I haven't received any guidance yet, I can't tell you that I'll be allowed to bring that out, but that is clearly a need and my intent to ask for. Now,
Scott Murphy, do you have any insights yet on where we are?
We just had our first Board of Selectmen meeting actually this morning, David. So to be honest, we haven't spent any time thinking about budgets yet. I do know from a CIP standpoint that we just added 2 different selectmen this year. So the CIP process may be slightly slower, just given new names and faces entering into the process. So just more an awareness than anything else.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Sorry, Scott.
Oh, it's okay. And we do have still American Recovery Act funding, and I did have discussions with a few people that maybe we could take a pitch at maybe some of that funding for the position, and I'm very open to that. but I feel to be transparent and honest with the town, with all of you and with the boards, this is something I want permanent. This is, we value this position. It's been an effective position long-term. So I feel disingenuous to say, hey, let's get some Recovery Act funding and do something for 2 years and then, go back and try to make a position then. I just want to be upfront going into it. And we still could perhaps use grant funding to help defer some of the costs. I think that probably would be in play. But I don't know, the advice I've gotten, and I think I feel strongly on this too, is to approach it as a part of the budget process. And there's a few other things that I need to get accomplished with our clinical staff. I've been having conversations with our HR department, looking at that. Some of that maybe is not so much for budget because that has to do with existing positions and the grading system that I need to address. And if you have questions about that, I'm happy to give you more detail, but I don't want to over detail you at this point when I'm going over it. Two other pieces in terms of our budget that's important for all of you to hear. One is that we are likely going to ask for some additional funding for stipends for our line staff that do supervision of students and post-grad students. We have a number, like particularly Erin Corbett, who's licensed, a tenured, trusted staff with us. She tends to pick up students as interns. To understand, when an intern comes on, you typically, especially for social work grad students, you need a social work supervisor. The head of our clinic is Angela Hearn. She's an MFT, so she can't technically provide the supervision. At least that would be accounted for her program. So what happens, and we have several social work students, it gets deferred to somebody who has an MSW. So right now we only have a couple MSWs on staff, me being one and Erin being the other one. And I pitch in as much as I can on the student supervision, and Erin picks up quite a bit of the slack. So we would like to have some kind of a stipend that reimburses our staff that also provide supervision to students, or in some cases, post-grad students that we're paying as contractual clinicians. It's a fair amount of extra work that we put on people. It does allow us to build our clinical team, allows us to have more options, more hours to provide for our referrals. Makes the space issues even tighter because we're trying then to jockey people around to different rooms. But we just sort of accept that as part of the work right now. We do our best with that. Last but not least, and I may have mentioned this in previous meetings, but I do want to let you know, I've reached out to the superintendent of schools, Dr. Craig Cook, about more of an ask for funding from BOE to support our programs. That's something that we've been asked to do in the past, and so I'm following through with what has been that recommendation. I'll put it that way. And right now I can have informal conversations. Really, these are conversations that have to happen between Peggy Lyons and Craig Cook, and involve me as well. I had a preliminary discussion with Dr. Cook about a month ago. He was very receptive. I think he listened really well. I don't know where it's going to go. All I can do, again, as the department head, is start the discussion, raise the issue, give some stats in terms of what I think is the justification for the school system to support our programs, and then kind of walk through the process.
Scott, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Why wouldn't it be recognized and go through? I mean, you're in the school providing a service. Anybody who goes into the school to provide a service, I think, gets paid. Like David, I don't really get why there's even a.
So historically, so these are town positions, and these are things, and we go where the youth are, and feel like coordinating, collaborating the way that we do with the schools is the best way to do it. And in fact, historically, and this is going back 20 years, there was some funding, particularly when some of our school-based positions started, back when they were called student assistant counselors. Actually, initially in the 90s, they were called drug and alcohol counselors. Initially, there was funding support, and that just kind of whittled away at that time. I don't know exactly why, other than maybe it was a fiscal kind of a decision that was made. So they just, they carved out, the cost centers for these programs. And, what's happened really significantly in the last 10 years, the collaboration with us and the school system has just grown, where we have our counselors there, but we do a ton of programming. We're working with the health, we collaborate with the health teachers in terms of where the gaps are and where we can help. And we do violence prevention. We're doing suicide prevention. We're getting involved in so many different things. So it's just, to me now, it's just the right time, to be bringing this back and, talking about sharing the funding for what we do. I hope that answers your question.
And there's also, the difference is that we do have a social worker in the building, so there is a school funded, on the school budget side, there's a social worker, but that person has allegiance to the school system and has obligations to the school system that Erin doesn't have when she's in our high school. She doesn't have to go to the same staff meetings that we go to, and she doesn't have the same overhead that we have as staff in the building. And so there is definitely a value in keeping the two sides separate. And, there's no question about that. And so, given that they don't directly report to the school, I think that's one of the reasons they haven't been sucked into the school's budget. So, and
for wherever this discussion goes, and I certainly hope it goes forward. The report, that study that was done last year by Loretta J. looked at our clinical services and the interface with the school system. I think that was very supportive of the model that we have, and supportive that, really in recommending, that the school to consider funding those positions, as well as, the town funding, particularly that full-time parent support counseling position too. So, I'm trying to line up the people that need to be aware of what we're doing. So that includes all of you. Need your support, and listen, if you have questions, if you have things that you need clarification on, or don't quite understand, or want to understand, or disagree with, board meetings are good for that. You can reach out to me separately. Going to need everyone's help and support on this as much as possible. Any questions on that part? All right, so we're getting there. Just a quick shout out. So congratulations to Scott Murphy. I don't know that Jean is on us tonight, but congratulations to both of them on their re-elections to their respective boards, Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance. Thanks to the folks that showed up at Trunk or Treat. It was really great for the board members that were able to come out, and even saw some that were walking around with their kids. That was kind of cool. Really appreciate that. And a real special thanks to Andrea, who came out and sat in on the Board of Selectmen presentation on the Academy project on Monday morning. Boy, what a fun meeting was that, right, Scott?
Yeah, who?
No, it's a good one. And, around the Academy project, I think just, is one that everyone's got a lot of good questions on and is working through the process. So we are still included in a vision of the Academy, what would be a community center. And if anyone isn't, hearing about that, you'll likely hear a lot more. There'll be community presentations on that and the vision for it. And the costs, voters in Madison are going to have some big decisions to make, both these projects. So it's the Academy Community Center, which will have approximately a $15 million price tag on it, and the school renewal plan, which I don't want to misquote this number, but it's like up there. It's like, it's like $79 million plus money in CIP and I believe the cost after some assistance through the state, I believe, the number would come down to like 69 million. So an important, like, very important projects for the town and for the residents to consider, because the aging infrastructure of those schools, the costs that are going to come if we don't do something. There's like a price tag if we act. There's a price tag if we don't act. And selfishly promote our services as being a part of the academy renovation. We would get the square footage we've asked for, the location, the design, and so like it's a really good fit for us. Should that come to fruition. Last but not least, want to talk a little bit of marijuana. We have the marijuana ad hoc. I think I brought this up a couple of months ago. There were 2 ad hocs at that time. There's only one really where I believe that they are still looking for board participation in. So there's, and I'm going to share the screen. Let me see if I can bring this up. Where are you? All right, so this is the task force, the town, and this has all been approved through the Board of Selectmen. And the board doesn't need to vote on someone to do this, but we're looking for members from various town boards to be a part of this ad hoc. Youth and Family Services would have one of our board members volunteering as a part of this. So this committee is going to recommend to the Board of Selectmen a plan that coordinates the long-term community and economic recovery of Madison in the wake of COVID-19. And you can all read for your own. And where are we?
Is this the one you wanted, or did you want the?
No, that's the wrong one. I'm sorry. Hold on.
That's ARP, but it isn't. I guess it is important to note, Scott, that I think there's 3 committees. It's the Ethics Committee, the Marijuana Committee, and then the ARP, which is the American Rescue Funds Committee.
Yeah, I opened up the wrong one, Scott.
It's all good.
Here's the marijuana one.
But we extended the deadline, I think is the point too. So we're still looking for volunteers.
All right, so can you all see this? This is the
it's still ARP.
Oh my God, it's driving me nuts. What the heck?
Is it just you have too many windows open?
Or maybe you've been on the ad hoc committee a little bit too long.
All right. Well, so while I struggle through this, do we have any board members that would be interested? And I will send you the correct link so you can have the proper description of the ad hoc. Do we have, and look, if we don't have anybody sort of jumping at this, that's okay. We can do it perhaps offline. But this is it's a unique opportunity to get involved with whatever will be the town. Oh, thank you. Who was able to do that? All right, thank you, David. It's a good thing that I sent this to you, huh? So I'm not going to read it. You all can read it.
It's a big deal, though. This is, I mean, if you look at it, what they're actually looking to have us be involved with is setting the regulations on pretty much the whole policy of how the town is going to address adult use of cannabis. That's a pretty big deal. If that's something that's of interest to you, I don't know any other way for you to have more impact on how the town handles this than to be on this ad hoc committee. So let Scott know if you are interested. And
I think applications are available on the town website too. So you can just apply.
First come, first served.
Just note that you're from this board.
Yeah, very, very, very true and very important. I'm going to stop sharing.
Yep.
Or I'm not. Maybe I'm not going to stop sharing. No, I am. Okay.
Thanks, David.
Yep.
And my understanding on the ad hoc that's related to the American Recovery Act funding, that one's on hold a little bit, right, Scott? That one you're you're not,
We just haven't opened it back up yet, but we
Okay.
will be looking for people for that.
okay, thank you. So hopefully we can get some board representation. Both myself and Catherine will also be involved in that ad hoc. And we'll see how things develop. Last but not least, oh, go ahead.
Scott, didn't we talk about this and somebody volunteered for that committee already?
I think somebody had expressed interest in the American Recovery Act funding one. I think actually it was Beth that expressed some interest in that particular ad hoc when it first came up in concept over the summer.
But not the marijuana one.
No, apparently nobody's jumping at that one.
How often does it meet?
To be determined by the committee.
Oh, so you want us to sign up before we know what's going on, Scott?
Yep.
Yes.
Nice, man. Nice move.
I think you're talking a lot. I think you have to sign up.
Listen, I can come and share some thoughts.
Look, I'm not telling. To me, it's just so people know. However people feel about this is not relevant. If you have an interest in how this develops, you're part of our board. So we trust that you're bringing the best you, and you're taking the information that you have, whether it's from us or other places. It's not like you have to be for or against. The idea of the ad hoc is really to get public opinion. To get the guidance, see what other towns are doing. And towns really, there's a number of them that are really coming out against whether they're short-term moratoriums on the question or just, saying no, and to a large degree to these businesses. There are a number of towns and cities that are looking at this and saying absolutely, and they're just moving forward with it. So Madison really just needs to decide what it wants to do on this, and you can be a part of that.
Scott, I guess just to amplify a point, though, that you said earlier about the liaison or the youth and family person on this board. I think there's some public folks that are also available to be on the board. But I think the person that's representing Madison Youth and Family Services would liaise back with this board, solicit input from this board, and then represent that input back to the committee. So I just want to make sure there's sort of an important tie back to Madison Youth and Family Services.
Thank you, Scott. All right, any other questions or thoughts on this particular topic? All right. If you have a chance, I want to ask people to take a look at don't do it now, check out your director's report. Again, we've got the cover page. I think we've cleaned up a little bit of the headings and some of the stats. There's still work being done. As we put together one version, we keep kind of cleaning up one and prep for the next month. It's a work in progress. That front page, though, we're really happy with. We think and we're taking time really to point out a few programs, things that we feel are bringing some value in different ways. And, other than just the numbers you're seeing, the programming and the, whether it's something that we have has high impact or is vital or demonstrates a very deep reach. So take a look at that. And if you're all interested, would you all like to see the video prompt that led into the survey? All right, so that's about 4 minutes. Now you all see how well I screen shared before, but let me give this another shot. All right, let me see if I can do it. Brother. All right, here we go.
Scott, is it muted? Because I can't hear it. Is that just me?
No, we're not getting audio.
You're not getting the audio?
No. Are you
So
hearing
just
the audio?
staring at a picture, so I can hear it, but you can't hear it.
Yeah.
Hold on. Nothing.
Do you want to send us the link and we can watch it on our own?
Yeah. I will do that following the meeting.
I can drop it into the chat.
Perfect.
Sorry.
Try that. That should get you there. But don't do it now.
Now, is Molly still on? Molly, can you try to play it?
I don't know. I was trying to press a couple of buttons too. Let me see.
Did you click the option, Scott, that says optimize for video clip and share sound? Because I can.
Join on this video by talking about the 2 school surveys that you're about to take. We see the front. We know that these are a lot of questions and some may feel very personal and sensitive. It's important for us to tell you all that a lot of time and energy goes into planning these surveys.
Can you hear it?
These surveys are incredibly important snapshots of
I can.
emotional well-being.
A little bit.
100% anonymous and safe with honesty and accuracy. There are 2 links. One to the larger search.
I got all my volumes all the way up, so.
Let me give it a shot. And if this doesn't work, then we'll just go with the clip.
Okay.
Any better?
I'm the director of Madison Youth and Family Services. I'll be joined on this video by a few others.
All right. So I think we punt. But Scott, we did get to watch you quite a few times.
Oh,
It's worth the 4 minutes and 7 seconds.
and the students are
Students are awesome.
The students are wonderful.
I learned that
that's
Ruby
why I
doesn't-
wanted to share.
Yeah, Ruby doesn't really like surveys, is what I
Yes.
learned.
And everybody's was coming through in Spanish, right?
Mine might have been.
You guys were all outstanding, and I think you kind of really gave the students a reason to want to take the survey and feel comfortable taking it. And that was the whole point of it, and it was really well done. So thank you for doing that.
Thanks. We sure tried.
What else, Scott?
That's it. Thank you, everybody. We can move on.
All right. Thank you very much, Scott. Art, I feel like I have to do a wellness visit on you because I keep seeing red flashing lights. Everything okay, Art? Give me a thumb up. We got a policeman right on the call if we needed him. Okay, he's okay. I saw his lips say he's okay. All right. Liaison report. We're lucky enough to have 2. Scott Murphy, we haven't heard from you for a little bit. Do you mind giving us a quick update? And then maybe we can hear quickly from Jeremy if he's got time.
Yeah. Real quick update. Only we've had 1 Board of Selectmen meeting with our new term that just was elected on Tuesday. So today was sort of an admin, or yesterday was an admin meeting, which was focused, predominantly on setting our meeting calendar, setting budget workshops, determining liaisons for particular committees. I'm certainly angling to keep this one. We spent a good amount of our time talking about the Academy School design that has been just slightly reconfigured, working with Colliers to incorporate Beach and Rec and Madison Youth and Family Services in the new design. So I encourage any and all of you who have not seen that to go on the town website, take a peek at it, and/or go check out some of the town hearings that are going to be happening. On the school side, I do know tonight the Board of Ed is actually hosting a public hearing on the school renewal plan. So lots going on tonight. We did talk about the lights, and we approved the lights in Madison again. So those of you that were worried we weren't going to have lights downtown, they are back. We do need to figure out a way to incorporate that into the long-term budget. But they are back, and there was some discussion maybe about leaving some lights up year round as well. So we'll see how that plays out.
What kind of, do you mean holiday lights?
Holiday
Okay.
lights. Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
So we'll see how that works. We did have a new appointment to the Board of Education, which was back to the past. Jess, you know him well. Seth Klaskin is back. So, and I think those were most of the updates that I had. So simple and quick. Only one meeting so far. So lots more to come.
And it's an appointment because there was a vacancy.
Correct. Yeah, Katie Stein moved to the
Katie.
Board of Finance, and so
Gotcha.
her position was vacated. We also had a similar situation with ZBA and how that worked out as well, with somebody leaving a different board. So,
Well,
Yep.
congratulations again.
thank you.
And hopefully you'll stay as liaison to our board. We love having you.
I
here.
would love that.
Personally love to have you here too. Jeremy, do you have time for a quick update?
Absolutely. So just internally, Captain Joseph Race, he left the department. He went in the private sector. So my assignment got switched. I'm doing a couple of his roles, like training, CALIA accreditation. And I'm really starting to learn about the police accountability bill, where part of the training thing with our officers, every 3 years, we have to accumulate 60 credits in all various classes. Some are mandatory, such as domestic violence, sexual assault, juveniles, gangs, etc. But the new requirement they added per the police accountability bill is every officer, in order to get recertified, has to go through a drug testing, which includes tested for anabolic steroids, because I guess they think all police officers are just raging in steroids. So, but now the key is finding testing sites for that. And, departments are discovering that these tests are not cheap. So I think that's a hidden cost where, we're only a 30 officer department. But if you look at some of the larger cities like Hartford or New Haven, they're going to be sending 400 or 500 officers that need to get tested. So there's a lot of budget issues on top of body worn cameras where, we've always had body worn cameras for a long time, but, just the cost of the upkeep and then just the cloud storage is extremely expensive because we're recording every single time we're interacting with the public. If we have a burglar alarm at someone's house, we're turning our cameras on. So there's a lot of video footage that's being saved, either into servers or into, cloud-based technology. So, we're just a 30-man department, like I make the same discussion where, the larger, even the state police that has, 800-900 troopers, that's a lot of information that's being stored. And that's a lot of a cost associated with that. Lastly, I know there's talk that we're going to be implementing social workers responding with officers. We're still gathering all that information. I know the chief and Scott, I think, have been in discussions, but I know that's going to be happening in the next few months. So we're still trying to iron out how that's all going to work. Are they going to respond immediately to the scene, or is the police going to make the scene safe and then bring the social? So there's a lot of things that we have to iron out, and what risk does a social worker want to get involved with, showing up at a domestic or, irate person. So it's a lot of things we have to work out and implement with the police accountability bill. And the whole marijuana thing, I could go on for hours with. So we got a training from the state's attorney's office. That's 45 pages. That's so confusing. We're just like, whoa, we don't know. So we're still, digging through that. But yeah, that's just a quick update, as of right now.
I nominate Jeremy York to the marijuana committee.
Yeah.
Just so you know, Jeremy, Officer Race, as you know, was our liaison for a while. So, it's
Yes.
just-
Yep.
Stick around with us. You're going to go places.
Yeah. Right.
Anything going on with the signs, the message boards you've been putting up in the
Yeah, so that's that's a whole nother issue with the juvenile. I saw there was actually a news article that there was a big meeting in Cheshire about the juvenile crime. It's been a statewide problem, and we've been dealing with it in Madison with stolen cars, stolen property. So, the best thing we could do is just try to promote that everyone please lock up your belongings. They're not hot wiring cars. They're just finding unlocked cars with the keys in it. So if we lock our stuff and, keep some outside lights on, it's definitely a deterrence. But juvenile crime is, it's definitely a big issue throughout the state that definitely needs to be, addressed in some way or another. But that's that's a whole nother issue for our legislature.
Touche. All right. Thank you, Jeremy.
You got
And,
it.
I have no chairperson comments. I feel like I've commented enough already tonight. So I'll open it up to any other discussion. Anybody, any board members or any participants here have. So many people that want to participate. All right. Well, seeing nobody has any discussion and seeing that we've met all the agenda items we had on the docket for today, we'll adjourn the meeting. Everybody have a great Thursday. Have a great, I said
Wednesday first.
Wednesday first. I was going to say Thanksgiving because that's 2 weeks away and somehow Thursday came out. But have a great Thanksgiving and we'll see you back here in December.
Everybody.
Thank you, David.
Take care.
Thank you,
everybody.
everyone. Have a good night.
Bye.
You all too. Thank you.